All right. I guess we will start. It's 5 minutes past 12. Good afternoon and welcome. Last year, here in Dubai, Black Friday held on 29th of November started 3 months of shopping spree, which lasted through Christmas, New Year, and finally gathered more than 3 million people who attended Dubai Shopping Festival. Most of them were flying to the city of Dubai from all over the world. Last year, about the same time, in the New York, 2 million people crowded the route of New York's famous Thanksgiving parade. And the retailers around the world were getting ready for another record-breaking holiday shopping season. From London, Oxford Street, and Champs-Élysées in Paris, through Mall of Dubai, retailers were preparing to welcome crowds of people all happy to get their hands on the biggest bargains for the holidays. You could feel the excitement in the air. Well, not this year. Not this year and perhaps not in next. The COVID-19 pandemic has changed virtually everything. It changed how the retailers are finding, serving, and satisfying their customers. And while some retailers will, of course, benefit in the new environment, others will find this holiday season to be rather slow. The success will depend on retailers' ability to improve the fulfillment capacity, rethink the customer experience, and align to the long-term strategy. My name is Janusz Naklicki, and I'm Chief Strategy Officer at Synerise, a software company which brings customer experience based on big data and artificial intelligence to clients worldwide. Today, I invited and have a great pleasure to honor the host, as a host, key players of the retail world, which have adopted and their digital strategies and came as a clear winners of 2020. We have Al-Futtaim, Carrefour, Landmark, Microsoft, C2 Native, and of course, Synerise. Ladies and gentlemen, please meet Jonathan Flender, Head of E-Commerce Multi-Brand of Al-Futtaim, Greg Wazowicz, Director of Financial Services and Trade Services at Carrefour, Rami Fares, Director of Retail and Travel Industries, Microsoft Middle East and Africa, Roy Aftimos, Managing Director of C2 Native, which is also our partner of this event, and Mohammed Abdel Salam, Country Leader of Golf Synerise. Amr from Landmark, on the very last minute, has excused himself due to the personal reasons, so we're keeping fingers crossed for his well-being. So now I'm turning to my guests with the very first question. And the first question is, how are you dealing with the situation in your businesses? What innovations of 2020 accelerate or impose on your company? Jonathan.
Hello. So my name is Jonathan Flender. I'm working for Al-Futtaim Group, and I'm currently the head of e-commerce for the multi-brand vertical. So how are we dealing with the existing situation, which is mostly the pandemic, right? I think three main talking points, right? The first one is pause and analyze. When the lockdown came in back in end of March and April, everybody was started to panic, especially in the retail division. What do we do? Revenues are dropping, etc. Running in all directions like headless chickens. So I think it's very, very important to pause, understand what's going on, and start analyzing really your numbers, in brick and mortar and in e-commerce, to try to get a vision of what's going on, so you know where you will be going. The second thing is listen. So the world was changing at that time, and I think it was probably one of the best time of the year to listen about what the customers were saying about your business, especially e-com. As in our case, a lot of malls got closed. So obviously e-com expectations were really high, and we probably didn't have enough data to understand really what our customers were thinking about us during that time. And to do that, we were using a lot of NPS, voice of customer. as well as getting a lot of feedback from our customer service. And the last thing is once you've paused and analyzed and listened, when it's time to pivot, right? So pivot doesn't necessarily mean, a proper revolution, but just trying to do things a little bit differently than usual so you can adapt to the existing situation. First of all, is plan for the worst. So in our case, after the first lockdown, we literally planned for 6 times, our existing capacity when it comes to delivery with our last mile partners, to restructure and reallocate resources, and develop new tools or new technologies which are going to help scaling up the business. Can we move to the next slide? Perfect. So analyze very quickly. So we put in place a lot of metrics and analytics tools, dashboards, which are giving us the opportunity to measure the real effectiveness of our different marketing channels, last mile channel, customer service channels, and so on. Obviously, it wasn't there before, and the whole situation accelerated this. Next slide. Net Promoter Score. So this is a real graph, okay, of the evolution of how our NPS evolved over the weeks. Just by listening every week, reporting, and having a clear action plan on how to convert dissatisfied customer to a satisfied customer. And you can see the evolution speak by itself. We did a tremendous job. Next slide. Yeah, pivots. So I think the best or the flagship development that we've implemented was for one of our brands as hardware, where we developed the first drive-through retail experience in UAE. So we listened and understood that the situation was very complicated to shop in retail. People were scared. So we used an unused area of our parking lot and converted it into a drive-through using our e-commerce business. So people would order online and come and collect their purchase in the drive-through area without getting out of their car. We've built a whole ecosystem and in order to deliver those orders directly in the trunk of people's car, so they don't have to touch anything, they don't have to walk into the store, and they were really safe. And I think the best proof that this service was successful is just our NPS score that was above 90. The second thing is, last mile as well as stock management became a major issue, and hence we have been through a lot of issues regarding stock availability or stock accuracy. So we developed a WhatsApp partial fulfillment system where, without the intervention of any human person, we would send WhatsApp messages to our customers, giving them the status of their order and telling them, listen, this is what you've ordered, this is what's available and not available, do you want to proceed, yes or no? Thanks to that, we're able to be faster, more efficient, reduce the calls that we were receiving to the customer service, and ultimately make the customer happy. And I think I should be done.
Okay, thank you very much. So the speed of reaction and the changes in the fulfillment and first of all the right analysis, what's going on in the business, really helped to get through those first surprising months. So with this new release of the COVID, you should be much more ready and prepared. Thank you very much. Greg, how about you? Greg we have a guest from Europe, ladies and gentlemen. Greg is managing the financial and trade services at Carrefour Poland, 40 million people. And I let Greg explain and everything right now. Greg.
Thank you, Janusz. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Yes, as Janusz said, I represent Carrefour Poland. I'm responsible in Poland for financial and merchant services teams. But what I wanted to share with you today is a few examples how we manage the situation and what type of the projects we develop in Poland and what priorities we set up right now in the current situation. And if I could ask for another chart. So just a few words about the Carrefour in Poland. We are the market leader in terms of omnichannel approach, which means that Carrefour operates in all possible channels in Poland, from e-commerce to conventional stores. Our journey, our travel started from physical stores, and we are the leader of hypermarkets in Poland. But finally, we have supermarkets, convenience stores, petrol stations, and shopping malls. This is several brands which cooperate together. And if we could jump another. And this is the part which I wanted to focus today. Digital innovations is something like the DNA of Carrefour, and in general, innovations in Poland is very important parameter for our company. So right now, we have innovative projects in every aspect of organization, but during the current situation, coronavirus situation, we speed up with some processes connected with customer efficiency and customer experience. First project is autonomous store. It was the first store in Poland, 24/7, fully autonomous, which we started in Warsaw. There is no employees, there is no service. Customer is doing everything by themselves. This is a very innovative project. We observe results, we observe customer reactions. And then we did a lot of activities within the e-commerce. E-commerce, definitely, I need to say that we speed up within the process, which means that quite similar, like Jonathan showed, we speed up with click and collect processes, with drive-through, partnerships with last mile deliveries, and partnership with Allegro. Allegro is a local Amazon, just to share with you. And of course, we speed up with the processes inside the store, like Scan and Go. Scan and Go is a solution prepared for a customer to do shopping in the store without the cashier. Full autonomous service. And Carrefour Sprint is our new innovation. We started this 2 weeks ago. First pilot, this is the delivery within the 3 hours. And what I wanted to share with you today is more about data, because I think in this period, every retailer must focus more on data. And I wanted to share with you one case. What we do is a data monetization project. This is my project which I am responsible for, and this is the innovation which I think is the best solution for this time. In general, as a retailer, we operate on many databases, and we speed up the processes with analyzing the data. And our approach, we have a 3-step approach. We use insights, activation, and measurement. Insight, it means that we are looking through the database, special patterns of behaviors of our customers, and then we cooperate with Carrefour suppliers externally, like big brands, Procter, Danone, and so on, and internally with my colleagues from other departments like merchandise and so on. And we look the special patterns of customers, and then we communicate. We do the activation to those customers with special offers. And then this is very important parameter for me from financial side. What are the results? So the measurement, ROI measurement, and the next we do marketing investments optimization. As Jonathan said previously, every board management is looking right now for transformation, optimization of costs, operations, and of course NPS. This is a crucial parameter. And this is one of the tools which we use to increase the NPS, to target precisely customer with dedicated offers. And on the left side, I showed how many databases we have as a Carrefour. We have loyalty programs, we have a banking data, we have a social media data, so we connect all those data. What is very important from my perspective is a project organization between Carrefour, supplier, and customer data platform. This is a crucial parameter when we organize the process properly and efficiently. Of course, on the other side, on the right, I wanted to show you the matrix of internal relationships within the organization, where we need to take into consideration all departments, especially merchandise, e-commerce, commercial, and IT, and legal as well, because all those operations on data must be authorized by legal guys. And if we come to another chart, and just a brief summary, what data monetization project success key factors. It must be defined on the high level of organization and aligned within international vision, insight, activation, and measurement. Project success result depends on the retailer and on the customer data platform company. This is a crucial parameter. Those two companies must work very dynamically, very fast, and very efficient, because right now when we come to the big brands, big agencies, we need to be agile, we need to be fast and quick with insight and analysis. The same situation with merchandise colleagues who expect from us really immediate activities. Because as probably Jonathan said and other colleagues will confirm, the time in retail during the coronavirus has speed up. So we do right now the steps within 1 or 2 months, which was planned for years. Janusz knows because he's quite close to us. And yes, as said previously, complex matrix of connections, corporations, very, very important. And last but not least, the loyalty program database. This is the base of the whole journey. Thank you very much. If any question, I'm very interested how other colleagues will comment, and thank you very much. If any question arises.
Thank you. We will have the question on the chat, and then we'll collect the questions during and after the webinar. Thank you, Greg. I mean, this is the second speaker who said, okay, the COVID times, externally difficult, externally challenging, but internally, actually, it speeded up a lot of projects, and the decisions, internal decisions, were made much faster. Sometimes the process of approvals which would take months, they were approved in the days or weeks. The new formats appear, the autonomous store, that was the first, I saw also the bio stores rolling out. So and now recently the new product, it's 3 hours delivery. A lot of innovation, as a matter of fact, is in the field of retailers. Data monetization program, very innovative on the European scale. Synerise has a small portion of this success. We're very humble, but Greg is very open for sharing this information to the other players in the market. Thank you very much, and let me jump to Roy. Roy from C2 Native. You have a different perspective on the business. You have the more holistic overview, Roy. Roy, to you.
Thank you. Yes, we do have a different approach because of where we started. But let me go back to what, I mean, we've mentioned COVID, what happened last year, what is happening this year. So what COVID did to the industry, to the communication and consumer industry, and at least with a lot of our partners, actually it did two opposite things. The first thing that it did, it helped with the meltdown really of traditional models in business. It accelerated that, but at the same time, it also accelerated the growth with companies, with partners that were open to digital transformation. In fact, it acted like one of the biggest catalysts, really, from a business development perspective for us. So who are we? What is C2? What is C2 Native? So really, C2 Native is a communication lab, and we try and empower our partners, our customers, with a mix of modern marketing, digital transformation, and innovative solutions, really to enable them to adapt more a customer-centric communication approach. And with the provided cross-channel orchestration and communication models that we try and deploy, and with the integration of future technologies, customers and partners now are more able to maximize on their business performance. One of the key differences that we have is where we started. So we started as a communication agency, and at the core, we are a communication agency. Hence, we do tend to have a slightly different approach to the world of Marcom Tech, one of the new words that we feel good using these days. So it's not anymore about sending messages or putting up campaigns in a one-way channel communication, but more really about opening up, truthful, authentic dialogues and communicating with the various audiences that we have, with the various customers that we have, to be able to really deliver on our our messaging in the most essential and in the most relevant and efficient manner. So how do we do that? We do that through 3 guiding principles that we try and adhere to. One is deploying modern marketing in order to communicate. So what do we mean by modern marketing? Having an open-minded approach that, you plan things, but you have to change them in a bit of time because the dynamic of the environment is changing. And as long as we remain true to the communication strategy that is being put forward. So optimization, the agility, being able to go out of track when needed to optimize is very important from a mindset perspective. The second point is where we work collectively on that, is leveraging technology to improve business. Now, business is a priority. KPIs of business are a priority, and we see how we can leverage various technologies in order to get to where we want to get. So it's not only for us about the technology. It's not about taking a software or whatever it is and just using it with all its features. We, as much as we can, sit with our partners and see what works best for them. A bit of this, a bit of that, and what would be the efficient way in order to get to where they want to get. And the third and most important guiding principle that we adhere to is evaluating the potential of the brands and of the partners in the next. So today, everybody knows what's happening today, but what about tomorrow? I think all of us had plans in December, we got them approved by our boards and what have you. Come February, we have to change everything. So how today can we build a brand that can accommodate a pandemic, that can accommodate growth, that can accommodate an acceleration, that accommodate innovation? So while we work on achieving the objectives that we want to achieve today and tomorrow, it's always important to take a lab mindset and see where could we be in 6 months time, 12 months time, and evaluate the various scenarios. So this is really what we sit and work and consult with our partners about.
Thank you. So I pick up a couple of words, multi-channel or omni-channel. That's the important, like grabbing information and data about the customer from any source you can imagine. Those sources were not really available before. And then the looking into the future, looking behind the next quarter, looking behind next 6 months, trying to understand what might come next, and converting this into the business, into the margin, basically into the profit. Thank you very much. Very impressive. I left Rami on the last because he's the biggest one, of course. And then whatever Microsoft does, it has truly global impact. So let's listen to what the #1 value company in the world has to say. My friend Rami.
I think my friend Apple are ahead of us thanks to their latest iPhone 12. So I think we're trying to get there with the Surface Book 3. So listen, I think you guys said it all, and actually you're leaving very little for me to add to all this wisdom and insights. I think what COVID-19 has left us with when it comes to the retail industry are things that fundamentally going to stay with us. So when you look at from a consumer perspective, there have been fundamental changes in the consumer behavior. And Jonathan touched upon those nicely. I think Al-Futtaim was a great showcase of how they navigated the COVID-19 throughout this customer experience. So what Jonathan has put in place is a true example of respond, recover, reimagine. So when you look behind today at the Futtaim and the key brands that Futtaim has, they left behind key assets that fundamentally have transformed the business. He talked to you only about ACE, but as well they're doing curbside pickup. When it comes to IKEA, they have done this virtual queuing to ensure people's safety at the store. So they have really nicely handled the change of consumer behavior and consumer expectation, as well as the government mandate that has put on them. This is one thing that have changed completely how customers interact with brands. And I think retailers have earned the lesson very nicely and very well. They now realized that while lots of retailers were focusing more on physical stores investment and improving the experience in the physical store, between day and night, they saw the digital channel taking the place of the physical store and becoming the primary channel. And this is where most of the investment, exactly as Roy said, And I think Greg said it as well. We have seen in this short time a significant amount of digital transformation investment that we haven't seen it in years. Even Satya Nadella, he's spoken about this. We have seen worth of 2 years digital transformation activities that we have seen it only happening in 2 months. And this tells you how retailers have been challenged to fulfill the customer needs under the new dimension and create new capabilities on the only customer channel that was possible for them to interact their brand with. The second key thing that you see coming out of the COVID-19, I think COVID-19 brought forward, I think, the biggest hit to supply chain that we have seen in years. And it exposed our supply chain design principles. When you look back at how we design supply chain pre-COVID-19, we're pretty much designing supply chain for efficiency, for speed, but we never designed supply chain for agility, for resilience. And now retailers, CPG players, and all of them, they're rethinking their supply chain practice. And they're rethinking the supply chain practice. Some of them started to speak about how can I localize supply chain? How can I include more resilience into the supply chain? How can I create transparency into my supply chain so I can really figure out where are my bottlenecks? So when another pandemic or another supply chain disruption hit comes into play, I know how to play the game better. So and it's becoming very obvious right now. You see, even with Carrefour UAE, again, inspired by Carrefour Poland for probably, they have done a phenomenal job when it comes to supply chain and delivery on time, especially during the time of lockdown, where they were challenged by the very limited amount of time that they can move items around the city. And now when they opened the store, they brought in this frictionless shopping type of experience, exactly similar to the top-up store that Greg has described, but as well they have done the scan and go type of model in order to make the customer feel more comfortable. So I think the piece related to supply chain, we're seeing lots of changes happening in the supply chain. Again, some of those are not only operational driven, but as well customer experience driven, because customers are demanding transparency. They want to know the supplier of the supplier. They want to ensure that your brand is following some guiding principles. The generation Y, Z, no matter how far you go down the curve, they're picking brands based on some new parameters such as sustainability. And this is requiring retailers, CPG, to bring in some visibility into supply chain. And I see it as a win-win, because while you bring in visibility and transparency toward your end customer, you earn yourself better understanding of where your bottlenecks are. So I think all of this is leaving us with a new era of retail. I think it's going to stay with us because consumer behavior, consumer changes are not going to disappear, are not going to go back to the norm pre-COVID-19, because now consumers have adopted digital at scale and they're going to stay there. I think what retailers should think about in terms of ahead of the COVID-19, post-COVID-19, they should think about how can we create this experiential retail? How can create this experimental retail where you create stories every time the customer come to the store? Because it's becoming very inevitable that it is for retailers, it's all about driving traffic and creating those moments where customers get to spend more time interacting with your brand, where you can track as well better conversion rates. So you see the just pre-COVID, I was in New Zealand and close to the hotel where I'm staying, I came across a very small ice cream store, and I found like queues coming out of the store. And then when I approached the store, I realized that those guys are entering people into the store pre-COVID-19 in groups of 4 people. And once you enter the store, what they give you a pallet of small ice cream scoops that you start tasting and trying before you make your mind. So this is experiential retail on such a basic product to create those fundamental moments that leave a key emotional impact on your customer. Think about Story that had been acquired by Macy's. They used to change the store every 1 or 2 months. I think in their 7 years of operation, they changed the store 40 times. Think about the store space in New York when it comes to toys. This guy who created a new concept called Camp, which is a pure experiential story and experiential experience created around toys. And when you talk to the guy and tell him what business you are in, he will tell you, I'm in events. So he invites people to live a theme around toys. And it happens that when they come and buy tickets to attend the event, they buy into his merchandising. So this is one of the most successful toy store nowadays in New York. So think about all these ideas. I think the customers are more demanding than ever, and in the same time, they require retailers to deal with them in a different way. Contactless shopping is becoming the key. The stuff that Jonathan has described: buy online, pick in store, curbside pickup, buy online, return in store.
Right.
One of the things as well that we're seeing is think about how customers can reduce as well the amount of return, and this is how we can create a better visual experience of fashion retail. So I think COVID-19 has left us, being a technology firm, has left us with a very sweet moment. We have seen an increase and accelerated path to digital transformation.
Exactly. Yeah, the very good comments about supply chain, very, very insightful. Indeed, the redesign to be closer to the retailer, to the closer to the production. Not everything has to be imported from China. And, after 3 months, you got into the travels. And then what is for us in the industry, the most important is the understanding the customer behavior. And then you cannot ask all the customers, what they feel. You have to rely on data. So I think with this, thank you, gentlemen. Whether this will be a season of austerity or the season of indulgence will, of course, largely depends on how well the retailers are prepared. But in my opinion, the secret is how to find new customers, how to recognize their needs, as Rami said, how to personalize the experience so the message for them will be relevant and important. Relevant and important to basically capture the attention, and the most critically, to gain their trust. So my next question is, how do you build the excellent relationships with the customer? How do you build the trust? And I'll start with Roy, just to avoid the queuing incidents. So Roy, do you?
Look, to build an excellent relationship and to build the trust. These are things that have always been objectives of brands. So the whole concept is not new, but how do we get to it is definitely something that we needed to take a completely different approach, and it has been something that started really a few years ago. So COVID is again, as we said, accelerated. But even before we get to COVID, if I talk about the region has been facing a lot of business pressure, economical pressure, oil prices. So it's not like we woke up one day and we had to deal with the situation. But when we talk about an excellent relationship with a customer, for us, we try to look at the relationship from every single stage. So we don't really look at it from a whole perspective. And for us to build an excellent relationship, it's about perfecting every single step of the experience. So how do we do that? It's a combination of a bit of a human creative element and definitely of technology. And Jonathan mentioned something very interesting, which is listening. Being in the communication industry, we tend to enjoy our own voice for a long period of time, for 50 years. We just speak. You tell us something and we just speak. We put radio ads, we put outdoor traditionally. And what we really fail at doing, what the communication industry failed at doing, is actually listening. So that was something that everybody needed to attend to one way or another. So if we listen better, we'll be able to, of course, tackle what we call customer centricity. Then we understand. Now, of course, we cannot do it from a human perspective, and we rely on technology. Now, there are 4 things that we do in order to build the trust. One is authenticity in communication. I think authenticity is paramount these days, because customers do not want to feel that they are just a number, right? And we're shoving product down their basket one way or another. Buy this, buy that. How about this? And whoever bought this will buy that. If it's not relevant, if it's relevant, and if it is authentic, then it's brilliant. The second thing is the personalization in communication. Now, the ability of a brand, and of course, using technology. So the ability of a brand to understand specific needs, specific wants, preferences, in terms of consuming also information. Do I consume my information through social channels, through YouTube, how do I consume today as individual my information? So if we understand that, then we'll be able to personalize the communication. Then a feedback mechanism, and this is where listening plays a huge role. So listening, reacting, engaging in the most relevant manner is really driving the motto of customer centricity. And this is, again, what will enable us to get to what we call the segment of one. So segments are not anymore a bunch of people that we club what we believe is a product that would suit them better, but then really identifying, dissecting all these segments to get to what the individual needs. And the last one, which we believe, again, is the most important thing from a business perspective, from a numbers perspective, is that you need to build meaningful relationship with customers, because customers should not be measured by their basket size. They should be really measured by the real life value of a customer. What am I interacting? What am I selling? What sort of conversation I'm having today, tomorrow, next year? And we see a lot that happens in the market where a lot of tactical activities that are being, pushed because I still have stock of something, so I want to sell it today. But this is not, we believe that this is not how we should be measuring customer, because when we start doing that, we start losing trust, we start losing meaningful relationships.
Thank you. Jonathan, your comment on the trust and building the meaningful relations?
Sure. So I think the question in itself, I think, was for me my favorite question of that webinar. So there are two aspects of the question, right? So it's building a relationship and strengthening trust. And I think the starting point is we need to be very clear and tell our customers why we're doing what we do, right? So it all goes down to the concept of the golden circle that Simon Sinek is talking a lot in his public speeches, right? So you have three circles: why, how, and what. And he's explaining that everybody working at any company and any customers know what that specific company is doing or selling, right? A fewer amount know how to do it, but almost nobody knows why, including the people working in the company. If you walk around and ask your colleague, why are we doing what we do? Well, if the company employees don't know that, there is a very small amount of chances that the customers know. And most of people would buy your why and not your what. Okay, the what is just the result. So I think we need to be very, very clear internally and externally with the why of the company. The second is to continue to build that relationship, right, is deliver on your promise. Nobody is asking you to overpromise, but just deliver on what you are promising. If your shipping time are 2 days or 3 days, don't promise 24 hours delivery. And the third thing, and I think Roy talked a lot about it before, is personalization. For me, which is basically meaning give them more of what they love, right? So you need to understand, you need to make data-driven decision and not simple data decision, right? You need to really predict with a really good accuracy what people want to buy or would buy, because it just makes sense based on either utility or personal taste. Exactly. And then the second part of the question is, how do you strengthen that trust, right? And I would start with, do you really know if there is any trust at all? Do you know where you stand, right? How do you measure trust? So we have voice of customer or NPS. You can check what's the lifetime value of your customers, how many times they are repurchasing with you every year, month by month, starting creating cohorts. You can run brand lift studies, do manual surveys or post-purchase survey to really see if your customers are happy with what you're doing. And I think with that trust, how is your return and cancellation policy? Is it clear? Is it simple for your customers and also to you? If it's simple for your customers, you should embrace it and put that on even your packages, right? To give confidence to the customers. And if you know that there is that trust, then try to over-deliver. So surprise your customers when they expected the least. So if you mess up, just acknowledge it and make it up to them, right? So it's not just about a refund, give them something more. And I believe that also you should trust your customers. If your customers are trusting you and giving you their money, you also have to trust them. And I think it's very, very important at the time of return, when I believe too many companies are making returns or refund too complicated, asking why, or taking too long to refund customers. And that's not really a sign that you're really trusting them.
Yeah. So promise, delivery, declaration, commitment, delivery. So constant building of the trust through this series of the small steps, but always fulfilling on the promise, exceeding expectations. So thank you. So we basically establish relations, we build the trust, the numbers of customers is beating all the records, and we are getting to the point where we need to accelerate the innovation, to be ahead of competition. According to recent research from KPMG, organizations which are most likely to prosper are over the long term does adapt their business models to embrace the right type of partnership, the partnership, for example, Greg was talking about, rethink the cost of doing business, and I want to allude to the Jonathan's first presentation, and the understand who are customers, who the customers are, and finally demonstrate the purpose of the for the employees and the customers themselves. So technology is developing fast, and the technology is allowing experiments in a digital marketing space. But the question appears, how to select the right technology and execute ideas profitably with a margin. And with this question, I'd like to go to the technological part of the world, to Rami. With unmuting will be much better, Rami.
That's a good point. So I think, listen, I think the thing that we have seen is, I think now you have earned the trust of the business stakeholders across the organization that digital has a business case, digital has an ROI, and digital is a need for organization operation efficiency as well as customer experience improvement. So now you have got yourself better audience when it comes to seeking budget, when it comes to digital. So where should you spend the digital technology? I think you should, right now, what we have seen through the COVID is we have talked to so many customers and they always had this in mind. Give me the new capability that has high business impact and low implementation complexity. And I think this is where we have seen the mind going. We have seen lots of quick, small steps toward digital transformation that create incremental business transformation activities, outcomes. So I think digital transformation, yes, while it is going to happen at scale across the industry, it's going to happen in increments. So start your journey, start it today. There is always a place to create more value for your business by choosing technology. And remember, technology has now been proven to create a business competitive advantage. Technology has an ROI. And I think the best place when we talk about this, I think that the word of data being under leverage is an overrated word. I think we have leveraged data over the years. I think what we missed on leveraging the data with is we missed using the data to solve fundamental business problems that we use to have less linear system available for those. So use data today to do demand forecasting, use data today to do better art of hyper-personalization, use data today to do better in terms of supply chain efficiency, predicting where your bottlenecks are going to be, predicting when you need to replenish this product, predicting demand of your customers. Again, the other day I was standing in front of Farfetch and the CEO of the business was quite proud of having a customer in UAE who ordered a piece of fashion from a boutique shop in Los Angeles that ended up at his doorstep after 45 minutes from ordering. How did they do this? Not by optimizing supply chain, but rather the art of personalization, by rather understanding what the customer is likely to offer to order next, what is the customer consumer behavior is set around, and accordingly move items across warehouses. So I think if there is any message to leave behind in here, I think technology has proven its business viability. It's becoming a business competitive advantage. And if you don't do it today, your competition will do it. So you will be in a position of me too. And then the other thing is data is at the heart of how to transform organization. Data-driven organization is all around what we're all experiencing of transformation activities. Does this make sense?
Exactly. And Greg, because you are showing the connection with the business, with the different business units, the multiple databases in the Carrefour. So, what is your point on the executing the ideas profitably?
I think this is the crucial moment right now when innovations comes from PowerPoint to the reality, and I think it needs from the organization to be ready to work very hardly within the innovation in the business environment, because here the travel starts, and here everything is coming to the reality when we start working with the innovation within the business environment and try to do something new. That's why this is such important when I said that we need to have all teams on board. I think this is the first step, to have all teams, very good communication, open for failures, because when we start talking about innovation, especially in digital environment, mobile applications, we need to be ready to failures, and very important but not obvious, we need to take into consideration all operations teams. This is very important. Whenever we do something with a mobile application or something like that, all teams in the stores, for example, they must know what's going on. They must have processes, because it was one of our experience that we need to create the new processes inside the organization when we have something new. But nevertheless, what we did is speed up the processes, working more with more speed and more energy to the teams. And this is the lessons which we take right now. And I think the journey is still, there was one question about which one is most efficient. I think all of them cooperate together. All innovations cooperate together with the business, with all people. And for me, this is the biggest challenge right now, to be honest, how to engage all people from the organization.
Exactly. From the floor in the shop, to the top management, right? It's no more we need to have the C-level mentorship. Like, you really have to have on board everyone from the clerks and the cashier and the floor shop to the C-level suite.
And this is the way how we transform the business, because very often the retailer companies are silos. I think many companies facing right now these difficulties, how to change the silos organization into agile organization when we are ready to implement very, very fast. But this is the process. And we are on the way. But this is quite difficult way, I need to say, from my perspective.
So the comments about the technology are really interesting, but let me drill a little bit deeper into it, because last 3 years brought us a lot of development in the area of machine learning, deep learning, in short called artificial intelligence. We chat about the chatbots, we talk to the AI customer support agents without even knowing it. Siri, Alexa, Google Assistant, Microsoft Cognitive Technology, or Synerise AI search engine are part of our everyday life. So according to McKinsey, retail is the segment which will benefit from AI the most. So my next question is, and Rami, I count on your opinion, and Jonathan, my next question is, wait a minute, Synerise, what is my next question? Synerise AI is telling me that the next question is artificial intelligence an opportunity or the threat in the retail? So Mike, I would like to ask this question to Jonathan first.
Okay, I'm gonna mute myself, it's gonna be easier as well. But I clearly think that it is an opportunity, right? On so many fronts. I believe the first one is probably logistics, transportation. I remember that I think a couple of years ago, maybe 2016 or 17, I've read something around AI or machine learning algorithm that determined for UPS in New York that it was actually much more cost efficient to ask the driver to always turn right. Right? And it was amazing. Even when you had to go left, it was actually quicker and was efficient to turn right. Because of signals and traffic congestion and so on. That led them to save something around $300 to $400 million. And so that's for logistics and transportation, right? Also, I think for in-store consumers, right, I see that as a great opportunity. I mean, we have today the ability to do what we were thinking impossible 20 years ago with the movie Minority Report, where we can recognize customers, we can give them product recommendation, we can send them timely recommendation, and they don't have to be an e-commerce customer to do that, right? We know what they are buying in retail. If we know they are buying, I don't know, clothes for a newborn baby, we know that in 6 months, a newborn baby is gonna jump in size, right? And we can directly tailor a message either over email or SMS or anything telling me, hey, it's time to buy X or Y product for your baby, right? So, and this is not going to get done with any manual analysis, right? So machine learning or AI is definitely helping in that front. And I believe that for the people who are scared or worried that AI might destroy jobs, well, in a certain way it is true, but on the other hand, you need people to create, maintain, and use the systems which are powered by AI as well. So I really see that as a unique opportunity.
Thank you. Cinerise is investing a lot in AI since the beginning of establishment of the company. Just a little bit of advertising. We just won recently the global contest in the Rakuten Technology contest for the best AI solution. But let's get to the source. Let's get to Rami and ask about how he sees the AI in the business of Microsoft. Is this the threat of retail or the opportunity for retail, Rami?
I think, man, this is a very interesting question, but think about it this way.
But 2 minutes only, okay?
Okay. You know, I'm Egyptian. I never good with time. Okay, so I'm gonna get better with you, my friend. So I think AI for retailers is exactly like cloud is for the world, right? If you think about the most advanced retailer right now is Amazon, right, which is bringing a threat to most of the retailers on the call. And at the core strengths of Amazon is the leverage of AI in everything that Amazon do. In supply chain, moving items between warehouses, anticipating what customers are likely to buy, as well as recommendation engine. They replace the merchandising manager by an AI algorithm. AI, exactly to Jonathan's point, it's not going to replace human being. AI is going to amplify the ingenuity of human beings. It's going to improve them on the job. A very good example, think about, there is a small startup out of Egypt called Elves. What Elves do, they use chatbot AI in the back end, powered by customer services rep, sitting on the back end, getting recommendation from the chatbot and interfacing with customers. So they can always keep this human aspect and at the same time, to Jonathan's point, the efficiency aspect and the intelligence aspect. So I think AI is a great opportunity for retailers. It is going to do for retailers what cloud has done for the world economy. Cloud has enabled startups to exist with minimal investment, which has allowed the world to experience new innovation. So AI is at the core of retail transformation.
Exactly, yes, and then we see this on the practical, from the practical perspective, because we work a lot in the AI solutions with the retailers, and we see how they can benefit from this. So this season, just trying to get a little bit to summarize, the battle for the customers will be waged online and offline. That means that retailers would need to rethink basically almost every part of the customer experience, from the way they acquire and communicate with the customers to the way they handle the data and customer complaints, as you said. Customer motivations and expectations have changed since the start of pandemics, and knowing your customers will be the really key to driving the success this season. So following this path, my question is, and the question I would like to ask Roy, how the modern customer journey look like? And then also I would like Jonathan to comment on this as well.
I have 2 minutes, I think.
Yes.
So I want to take 30 seconds because there is one question you had that you asked, but which we didn't answer. How can we have profitable ideas these days, which I think is very, very, very important. The answer is quick and simple. That today, before running or doing anything, we can run simulations almost about any plan, any activity that we need to do. So beforehand, we can predict how profitable an idea is. And with the availability of attribution models, you know what's working, what's not working. I think what is required is a human element of being able to analyze data and know when you need to shift. As for the second question, there's a new word that we've learned recently, which was phygital, that is the combination of the physical and the digital world. As much as we talk about tech and we talk about the whole thing, we do not believe that in the foreseeable future, everything is going to be digital and the big word. So it's going to be a combination of both. Definitely, it will vary from product to product, from customer to customer, and for brands to succeed. It is not about really maximizing or being excellent at only in the digital transformation, but finding the tipping point where the best of both worlds would work. Now, it could be really 5% physical and 95% digital. I'm not saying it's half-half. It will vary. If we talk about customer centricity, it will vary by customers, by products, by area, by mindset, by culture. So it's definitely a combination, and it's up to brands to understand where do they strike the perfect balance between both worlds.
Exactly. And Jonathan, how about the customer journey that you see as that surfaced as the result of this new paradigm change?
Yeah, I think it's an overused word, but definitely omni-channel, right? So the more the time passes, the more the same customer is interacting with the brand on a lot of different channels. And I think the main challenge today is to, first of all, having the ability to understand and to recognize a customer across different channels. That's the first point. The second is to retain the same voice across channels. So in a way that we always address the customer the same way. And we know how challenging that can be, with a lot of different services and team members, or even companies sometimes, addressing the customer from inside the store, on a website chat, on customer service, on social media, and all of that. And the word seamless is an understatement, right? So there is nothing more frustrating than a customer reaching out on one channel and being requested to interact on another, right? This is and then at any point of I think the purchase funnel, even post-purchase or pre-purchase, right? I was in the mall last month and I've been asked, oh, do you want a discount? Then go on our website, you register your email, open the email, and show me the QR code. I mean, I'm in the store, right? It's cool to have a discount, but that process to me doesn't make sense. So yeah, I think it's easiness and communication across all those channels to offer something which is really seamless. And I think that CDPs and CDP solution obviously can help achieve that.
Exactly. Yes, the customer experience, omni-channel, and the overall feeling that I am in the center of the universe will probably be the key to it. So the new paradigm will surface the multi-channel, as you said, multi-format, of course, the segment of one shopping, as Rami said, experience that really retailers need to be prepared to be super accurate with the data, prediction of trends, AI-powered recommendations, and basically ability to understand for individual consumer behavior and preferences. So this is the new digital world of retail that we're dealing with. And then wrapping up and I will have the couple of questions at the end to Greg. Wrapping up, I'd like to ask Mohammed how Synerise is envisioning this new digital world.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Amazing insights today, definitely from all our panelists. And exactly like I pick from what Jonathan was saying about the data part, right? So talking about the core retail transformation that we have been seeing in the recent, few months during such an intense year and during the pandemic, marketeers really need to look at increasing the MarTech ROI, right? And really talk about the bigger picture rather than one thing here, one thing there, you know, and try to stitch them together, but rather than the bigger picture of how you can increase the dollar value of ROI out of the marketing technology spendings. And at the same time, looking at the bigger picture, right? We try to envision this in such a picture and focus on the right side more, which we're talking about the likes of how you can utilize the data in a better way, what Greg was talking about as well, the monetization of the data, how we can make a better leverage of that in the meantime and in the future, because that's the currency, right? I just got a message actually. So Amazon US started now paying people to let them upload their invoices outside Amazon, right? So excluding Amazon, Whole Foods and stuff like that. If you bought something from the pharmacy or any other Target or retailers, just upload it and you know you get paid $10, something like this. So data is a new currency, and I think this is essential component to help you increase the MarTech ROI.
With the GDPR, this kind of a request might not be 100% accurate in Europe. I'd like to ask Greg to answer the question that was coming from the audience. Which part of the innovative solutions or tactics increased revenue the most at Carrefour in the last year? You don't have to give the precise numbers, of course, Greg, because it's the secret, but if you could indicate if it was the one single one or as a combination of a couple of those. Without mute, Greg. So while Greg is unmuting, with the left bottom corner, I repeat the question. Or maybe we'll jump to the other question. And this question is for Jonathan. Is there anything, because you're running in the multi-brand company, is there anything completely new in the field of brand communication since COVID? For example, something that started to work right now, but before 1 year ago was not working or was totally wrong, right?
Janusz, I'm sorry, I'm back. I had some technical problem.
All right. So okay. So which part of innovative solutions or tactics increased the revenue most at Carrefour?
I think there is no one answer. We are in the middle of the way. We are testing, implementing, and making changes in the all processes. So the answer is not so easy. I think that I need more time to come back with this, with analysis and with real answer what's going on. Because it was a very interesting question, coming back to the previous discussion about the customer journey. I would ask differently, how we as retail can change the customer journey, what we can propose to the customer. Because in many cases, we need to start from the scratch. We need to start planning services from the beginning. And very often we need to take full responsibility and risk for the new solutions within those times. This is not the way when we will wait for a customer and expect their opinion or their experience. I think we need to do something more right now. I think the next seminar, I think when we will organize, I will have more precise answer for this question.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Jonathan, about the brand communication, what do you think? Is there anything that really started to work in the brand communication?
Yeah, so I think the question is not easy, but if I have to pick one thing only, is reassuring customers that they are safe. 1 year ago, if you were starting to have anything near to that type of communication, you would have scared people off, saying, oh, there is something wrong. And right now, it actually matters, especially in the UAE. You know, I think we're lucky enough here to be in one of the countries in the world where we have like a very good safety for people and employees. I mean, from our end, Al-Futtaim, every time there is a potential of having a case, everybody is working from home and so on. And I think it's the very same thing for everybody else. So reassuring customers on the fact that, you know, equipment or things they have to interact with, have been sanitized. Well, during the pandemic, we had a virtual queuing system as well to guarantee like a maximum number of customers within the store. So you had to pre-book online. And that's something that people were actually expecting and they're very, very pleased with. And a year ago, this kind of thing would definitely have scared people off. Hey, we're safe. Come shop with us. Like, there's something wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Why are they saying this? Why are they saying this? Why are they saying they should? I think you nail it straight on the head. I mean, that's a very, very good point. That the element of safety, security, and the physical safety came up as the totally new dimension in the communication and also in the offer. So I think it's for me, it's a time to wrap up. It was a really intense hour. The transformation of the retail is happening as we speak. Basically, the changes that we have experienced in the recent months is only the beginning of the transformation. And we are facing the integration of tools, filling the gaps with the new technologies, such as discussed artificial intelligence or real-time analytics. So the question is how we will use this moment and what we will do with this. So there are many urgent changes, as we discuss, ahead of us in the area of building digital confidence and capturing the customer excitement, the moment, deploying new retail models, for example. And that requires a lot of guts and the far-reaching decisions. Thanks God, those decisions are now made much, much faster. So we are interested in your thoughts. Write to us at Synarize.com directly or at LinkedIn. And I would like once again to thank my guests, Jonathan, Roy, Greg, Rami, and Mohammed for the participation, and then see you at the next editions. Thank you very much and have a safe day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.